Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sapient. Today we have Bryan on the show. So first of all, welcome Bryan. How are you doing? What's up? What's going on?
Hello, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's things are going busy. Things are great. Life is exploding.
Nice. And where are you based out of?
Pardon?
Where are you based out of?
I'm based out of Red Deer, Alberta, up here in Canada.
Nice. So it's a Trudeau land.
A little bit. We've kicked him out, but unfortunately, we're still stuck with some
Right?
pretty scary liberals. Yeah.
Yeah. How's life? How's everything? How and what do you do and stuff?
Well, right now I am the host of my podcast, The Return Project. I'm also a author of my first book that I wrote called Getting Selfish, Filling Your Bucket First. I am an aspiring speaker that I want to get out there and share my message with people. And other than that, I spend my time. I have 3 daughters and my wife, hanging out with my family, living the dream, working hard. It's a pretty busy life, and things are never boring. That's for sure. Especially the podcast is erupting. The book is exploding. We just got it published a couple of weeks ago. We're just trying to get it out into people's hands and get the message out there and share it with people more. So it's busy.
Yeah, I guess being busy is a good thing, right?
Being busy is an incredible thing. I'm not good at being bored. I'm not
hmm
good at sitting on my hands and twiddling my thumbs. I'm always one of those go go go, let's make something happen kind of people.
hmm And what sort of got you interested in writing the book?
My book came from a passion project. Same with my podcast. It all comes from a place of wanting to have people understand there is a greater life out there. The book comes from walking through my own experience of a very dark, really hard times that I got really angry and tired of people calling me selfish when I wanted to put myself first and honor myself. And at the time, I had no idea that it was going to become my whole concept and I was going to write a whole book on it. I just wanted to put myself first. You know, I would look around, and this is something I tell everybody. Sometimes you need to look in the mirror and understand and see who's looking back. Because when I had a moment and I looked in the mirror and I hated who I saw back, and I had no idea who was looking back at me, was pretty terrifying.
So would you say you are kind of anti like the typical belief of be selfless and you know like put others in front of
Absolutely.
yourself?
And this is where it's a bit of a twist. Absolutely not.
hmm
Because it's almost what I'm trying to tell people is that you have to get selfish
hmm
to be able to pour with abundance, to be able to give people the best of you,
hmm
and to be able to show up in the world as your most authentic, powerful self.
hmm
Your bucket has to be full first. You can't give from an empty bucket. If your bucket is depleted, drained, holes full of it, toxic, being held together by band aids, you are
hmm
no good to anybody else until you're good to yourself.
Yep. So once when you say be selfish, right? How would you define selfish?
I define selfish as self love, setting your boundaries, and putting yourself first so you can pour with abundance. There's a definition out there, if we go by the Oxford Dictionary definition, that the word selfish can have a negative tone to it. The word
hmm
selfish really is, looking after yourself and only yourself and taking and not giving, and it's all about you. Really,
hmm
I want to transform. Let's play on that word. Let's take for ourselves so we can give for everyone else.
hmm So you would say that kind of the typical um a selfish person, right? Would you say that they're a good person at heart or a bad person?
It's definitely that place of you have to look at it from the right perspective, because yes, there are people out there who are the definition of the dictionary selfish. There are awful people out there. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to ever sugarcoat that. There are selfish people out there who are just, well, jackasses.
Yeah.
I reframe it because I want people to really understand that if we all took a moment to look ourselves in the mirror, get to know who we were, understand our boundaries, our passion, our insides, our beliefs, our values, our morals, all of that, who we were, and then discover how to create a healthy abundance so that we can take the best of ourselves and give it to others. I'm going to give you a quick metaphorical scenario that I use to make this really clear to people. You're going to a family wedding. You've been told you have to go, but the family that's all going are heavy drinkers, people that are disrespectful to you, people who you find kind of toxic, and not family you know very well yet. Everybody in your family is saying you have to go because it's family. You have to be there because they're family. They're using that family word in a guilting you in, making you feel bad because you don't really want to be there. So here's where we have to get selfish. You have to make that hard decision to say, no, I'm going to respect my boundaries and not go hang out with people that are heavy drinkers. I'm going to protect my energy and my passion and not be put down and disrespected by people who aren't very nice to you. And first off, maybe you just don't want to go, and that's okay. So, in that sense, yes, get selfish, look after yourself, and make the decision you want to make. We're not here to let anyone else make us feel guilty or make us feel like we're being the bad person. We're looking after us and our family first. We're looking after the people that matter to us so we can be better people for them.
So you would say standing up for ourselves, right?
100%. It's all about creating those boundaries, creating that safe place for yourself, creating those places where you recognize whether it's you just don't want to go, whether it's you're making a choice not to spend time with people who rob you of your energy, put you down, and disrespect you. Why would you put yourself in a situation that didn't feel good?
Yeah, got it. Let's say now that you're talking about boundaries, right? Like the normal society norms hate boundaries, right? Because it kind of doesn't let people dictate you, or like I would say, make you obedient.
And that's a key factor to it. If you want to be a strong, powerful person, you want to be confident, you want to be able to walk with your head held high,
Mm.
you need to stand up and put those in place because you're not going to let anybody walk on you. You're not going to let anybody tell you how to live your life and what to do. You make the decisions. You choose yourself. You tell people, this is how I live. This is who I am.
So what about those people who say, like I don't want to boundaries because that makes other people uncomfortable?
And that's hard. It's going to make people uncomfortable. Yet that's part of the growing journey is it's hard for us to set those boundaries from someone in a perspective who's never set a boundary in their life. Those people, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard to do, but it's so worth it. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable for you, and you're probably going to make someone else uncomfortable. But that other person that you're making uncomfortable, they're only uncomfortable because they can no longer push you around and make you do what they want. They can no longer pour into your bucket. You've basically said, here's my line. I'm not letting you in anymore. And now they don't like it.
And what was that experience that kind of ticked you off in your own life?
I go back to it was the moment I woke up in the mirror one day and I looked in the mirror. I had no idea who was looking back. I hated what I saw looking back. And a flicker, something in me, a small spark, something screamed out saying, I want to love this person. I want to know who this is. I need more. That was the eruption moment. I had spent years wearing a mask, being the person everybody wanted me to do. You might even laugh. I went to university because someone else told me what I was really good at and I should do that. And I just said, okay, yeah. And I spent thousands of dollars to go to university for something to find out that I really hated that. That's not what I wanted to do. I did it because someone else told me I was good at it and filled my bucket. Because at that time, well, I was a hot mess and didn't really know anything different.
And how much time do you think it took you to actually make it?
Years. This process that you walk through of change, it's not an overnight change. It's not a one day switch. It is years. I've spent years walking through educating myself, dreaming big, learning about forgiveness, grace, and gratitude, learning about how to fuel my body with nutrition and keep my mind and body healthy. I've walked through years of finding what my beliefs were, understanding who I was at the core, and how I was going to hold those boundaries. And, well, you fall down a lot. There's lots of ups and downs. So it's part of it's trial and error. It's action. It's learning. I've probably spent the last 10 years, and I'll keep walking it. It's a never ending journey. I will walk this journey of self growth and self love and growing myself and the people around me until the day I die.
So, what kind of inspired you, right? Because you went through this stuff and you changed yourself, right? But what actually inspired you to write a book about it?
Well, here's the funny part about the book. The book really started with scribbles and notes and tidbits I would just pull out of my brain sometimes and scrape down. And it was probably a good couple of years of just making notebooks and random notes in my phone or on my computer and all this. That finally I was in a conversation with someone one day and I was talking about having a bucket list item. I've always wanted to write a book. It was one of my life goals to publish a book because I've always enjoyed writing. I've always been a writer. I've always been a creative person. And somebody looked at me and said, just do it. What you have all of this stuff, you have all this knowledge, you've got all this wisdom, you've got all this inspiration and a powerful story. Just do it. And I don't know why it clicked at that time. Maybe it was the universe and everything falls into a right time at a right place. But it just came together. And so, yeah, I took everything I compiled over years, everything out of my brain that I'd learned through mentors, books, other podcasts, myself, just took it all and started writing. And, well, it took a while for it to come together to what it is today. But now there is this handbook and a guide of steps that walks people through really a path of rediscovery, a path of embracing their self-love and pulling themselves out of, well, not knowing who they are, being a hot mess, being burnt out, being an extraordinary people pleaser like I was, and just looking for something more in life. So to round that all out, this book has been a passion project that developed over years, and I just decided one day to put action into my words and I did it. And we walked through the process of self-publishing this book a couple of weeks ago, and now it's out there. Now this book will transform people's lives.
Got it. And how long did it take you to write from scratch?
From getting serious about it to having it finished, I'm gonna say at least a year. Because there was periods where I would go hardcore at it and then I would kind of fall off and take a break and then I come back to it, or I would write this is where it gets hard. Coming from an author, and I'm sure any other authors out there listening know this, when you write your first manuscript or your first chunk and you think it's brilliant, you think what you've done is incredible, and you send it to a second set of eyes and they tear it apart and then you go back and look at it and you go, oh my god, I need to fix all this. So you rewrite the whole thing. And then you repeat that process probably half a dozen times till you finally get to a point where you go, okay, now it's good. Okay, this is what I really wanted it to be. Like, so probably from getting serious to publishing, I would say at least a year, at least.
How many times in that year do you
Oh, there was many. Between having my own self doubt of, is this good enough? Is anybody going to ever read this? Like, what the hell am I doing? To having to swallow it when somebody would send me back a scribbled on version that I had to go through and fix spelling errors, grammar errors, a million different things. And I went, I thought it was so good. And now they're telling me, I look at all this. So I was like, oh. So, yes, many, many, many times did I want to throw my hands in the air and say, what the hell?
what was your force? Okay, I need to finish this.
The driving force every time came back to the little voice in my head saying, we need to share this message. People need to know there's more to life and that we can go from surviving to absolutely thriving. We need to get this message out to people and it will change lives. It just kept ringing in me and coming back to me every time I hit a wall or hit a hiccup or got stuck. That voice in my head and in my heart said, we need to get this out.
What, do you think your podcast is also aligned to what you are writing about?
I really feel like my podcast is 100% aligned. I called it the Return Project because there's a point in our life where everybody says, you can just start again, draw a line in the sand, we're starting it from scratch. But no, you're never starting from scratch. You're never just starting again. You're always returning. You're returning with more wisdom, more knowledge, more experience. You're returning from life kicked the crap out of you, awful things have happened, and now look what you're going to do with it. Where can you go when you make your ultimate return? Everybody has the power in them to go from an ultimate return to an ultimate life. You know, we can take the horrible things that happen to us and turn them into the greatest things that have ever happened in our life.
And how's your podcast been like? What's that journey like?
Oh, the podcast journey has been kind of like the book. You ride the highs and the lows. You think you're doing great, and then you learn something, and you look back and go, "Oh my god, I let that go out there to people. Like, what was I thinking?" And then you create some more, and you think it's great, and so it's that roller coaster that anybody in the podcast world, I'm sure you have, I know I have, rides that highs and lows of going, this is incredible. I've made such great content. And then you go back and you look at your content from a couple months to a year ago and you go, well, I see that I've learned a lot and I've grown, but I can't believe I let that out in the world. Oh my gosh.
As a native English speaker, how crucial do you think communication has been to? Let's be honest. In today's world, ideas are everywhere. What sets you apart is how well you communicate them, especially in English. If you are a startup founder pitching across borders, a professional leading virtual teams, or an MBA applicant facing high stakes interviews, and English isn't your first language, you know that just being fluent isn't enough. That's where Speak English comes in. They offer one on one coaching for smart, ambitious professionals who already speak English but want to speak it better. Think sharper pronunciation, stronger presence, more confidence, and real world communication that actually lands. No chatbots, no cookie cutter apps, just expert human coaches who focus entirely on you. This is the kind of upgrade that helps you own the room, whether it's in a board meeting, interview, or across cultures. Check them out at bespeakenglish.com. That is bespeakenglish.com and use the code Sapient10 for 10% off your first coaching package. Bespeak, because your voice matters.
Learning how to communicate with people and use words, it's always been a strong suit of mine. So that's where I've been blessed. But it's such a powerful tool when we can learn to communicate with people and really dig into powerful topics, dig into different personalities. Communication is something that I think everybody should work on and develop as a skill. When you can have the ability to sit down and have a 1 hour conversation, whether it's just fluff and you just get hit top layer stuff, great. Or when you get really good at it and you can connect with people through your communication and dive into these places where you build these connections, you build relationships, you meet new people from around the world. I can now say I have friends that are across the world that I would have never had in a million years or gotten to know. And I know them very, very intimately and well because we communicate so well. So the power of language, the power of communication, and even here's a fun key that I've been starting to pick up on, such as I get to meet people like yourself out in India or whether it's Germany or Australia, you get to learn new languages.
Fortunately, fortunately, the same people rule us all, so we are all doing the same thing.
There is that. There is, in a way, we are all saying the same thing and speaking the same language, but sometimes it's the words we use that mean something completely different.
I think it's because of the context of culture, these people.
And that is so cool. You want to get into the concept of culture now. So I get really fascinated by this stuff because we wrap it all back to the world of podcasting, communication, and getting to meet people around the world. I have had the opportunity to learn about new cultures that I would have never experienced. I get to meet people who are teaching me and letting me see glimpses into their world, their cultures, the way they live. And I just think that's the greatest opportunity to be able to take that in.
Yeah, yeah, I agree because I have spoken to people in culture. That's kind of my curiosity, right? That takes over whenever I speak to people. Um, and it's like fascinating to see how same humans, different brains, right? Like the way people operate and the way people have different like standards, right?
Okay, I have to jump in here and share this with you because it really is such an interesting little facet of how the brain works. So for myself, I have a question at the end of every one of my podcasts. I ask everybody the same question. And the question I always ask is, what is your definition of truly living your best life? And now I've had people from intuitive healers, alternative medicines, living life hippies, world travelers, to double doctors, psychologists, master degrees, highly educated people, all on my podcast. The complete massive different spectrums. And yet, when I ask that question, it is wild to see how all of their answers interject in the middle.
Yeah.
People from complete different walks of life, journeys, spaces, mindsets,
Mhm.
all meet in the middle when you ask them about what living their best life means or really deep, powerful questions like that.
And what do you think is the most general or most common answer in that?
Ooh, I would have to say a very revolving answer would be to be present in the moment, to
Mhm.
love yourself, to embrace the life that you're given, and to do what feels good. If I
So you
could,
would say none of them are talking about corporate jobs
no,
or
that's,
spreadsheets.
that's the wild part. Like, you know, in my brain, I would have assumed and I would have thought that when I'm talking to someone who's got a double doctorate and a highly educated person that's been to multiple universities, all that crazy stuff, is
Mhm.
going to tell me that their best life is education and knowledge and power and being the smartest person alive.
Mhm.
Or the person that's a free-loving hippie traveling the world would have told me that their greatest life and the best way to live their life around that would be total freedom and excitement and no responsibility and whatever they want. And yet, every single one of them, in different words, different ways, say the same things about finding yourself in the moment, finding your true self-love, doing what feels good, embracing the life that you're given,
Mhm.
and never giving up.
Yeah, and because you have spoken to a lot of people, right, through the podcast, uh, but just through general life, right? Um, how like how much of, I would say, percentage of people do you think are selfish?
I think the people that I have the opportunity to speak with are all selfish to my definition of it.
Mhm.
They're all people who have discovered the ability to set their boundaries, to create their self-love, to rediscover who they were, to overcome the greatest challenges of life and embrace everything that is them so they
Mhm.
can pour out with abundance, so they can build massive charities, so they can give to everybody else, so they can be the greatest person and show up with the most authenticity. I can't say that a single person I've ever met is the Oxford definition of ugly, selfish, or a jackass. There's lots of people in my life that I've had to give the snip to or that I've known who are that. But because I took my own words and got selfish, they're not
Mhm.
part of my life anymore. I don't let those people in my life, I don't associate with them, and I don't give them the time of day. If they want to
Yeah.
live their life and be a selfish person all about themselves, cool, go do you. Because
Mhm.
you're not someone I'm going to give my energy to.
Yeah. And also, do you think it's like people have to stand up for themselves in order to achieve something like,
That's the only way to do it. To get where you want to go, you better stand up for yourself or someone else is going to walk all over you.
right? And especially they'll hate you if if you are not self-serving anymore, right?
You're not being self-serving to the point that it's hurting other people,
Hmm.
but you are always going to be self-serving to make sure you're looking after number one.
Yeah. And would you say that kind of having confidence in your own abilities kind of helps you do that?
Massively. You have to build that confidence. And confidence is hard. We're not born with confidence. We don't wake up one day and we're the most confident person in the world. Confidence comes from little actions every day. It's putting in the reps, it's doing the work. Confidence comes from doing things when you're scared. I'm not going to lie. I've got to go give a keynote speech in 2 weeks here and go give a 30-minute presentation. And I'm terrified. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be the scariest thing I've ever done. But
Mhm.
I'm also going to tackle it so damn confidently that no
Yeah.
one's ever going to know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about fear, right? Like, fear is just a signal, right? It's not actual thing. It's just a signal of your mind saying, please don't do it because it's uncomfortable.
Fear is nothing but your comfort zone wanting you to hold back. It is your
Yep.
safety net telling you, oh no, something bad might happen. Or fear is that nasty little voice in your head that, well, if you listen to it, it's probably going to kill you first.
Yeah. But I would say, fear is a good thing because it's like once you get over that fear, right, then the ride is absolutely enjoyable, right?
Absolutely. I can put it in this context. My wife loves roller coasters. I'm
Mm.
not such a fan of roller coasters. But when she pushes me out of my comfort zone and puts me in that scary roller coaster that spins upside down and flips you around in multiple different directions, I was in full fear mode, but I jumped in, I beat my fear. I didn't listen to it. Maybe I've watched too much Final Destination where the roller coaster all falls apart.
Yeah.
But I then loved it. Once I
Mhm.
got over that fear and I was able to conquer it, that roller coaster was amazing.
Right. And I think that's literally life, right? Like, you got to get into the ride.
Pretty much. That's going to be how you wake up every day. Now,
Yeah.
you can choose to be a person who lives in comfort and lets that fear rule your life, and you can not get in the roller coaster. But in my opinion, you're going to live a pretty boring life and you're not going to get very far.
Yeah. And it's also like, like, I think it was Jordan Peterson or somebody who said, like, you cannot half-ass anything because you're investing your time in it.
Absolutely. It's when you half ass something, you're, well, you're doing it
Yeah.
shitty. I don't know how else to describe that because when you half ass something, you're letting yourself down and you're letting someone else down.
Yeah.
When you half ass something, you are not giving your best.
Mhm.
And maybe it's my belief that in everything I do, I'm there to give 100%. I'm there to do my best.
Mhm.
So if I half ass something, I actually feel bad about it. I didn't show up as my best self. I didn't give what I could, I
Yeah.
half ass that. That's not me.
Mhm. Do you think people half-ass it because they have to use it as an excuse in the event if they fail?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it goes back to that fear. I think that if you let fear rule you, you're going to half ass something because then you don't have to overcome that fear of failure. You don't have to overcome that fear of what someone else is going to think. You don't
Yeah.
have to overcome that fear of, was this good enough? So if you half ass it, you feel and tell yourself, well, I did my best. I did what I could. I tried. No,
Mhm.
you half assed it and you didn't try
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. Um, and I feel like when people give it all and they fail, they are still happy.
When you give 100% of yourself, and you give it your all, you put your heart, your soul, your body into it, some blood, sweat, and tears, you'll never be wrong. And if you are, the
Mhm.
most you do is learn from it. Anytime I've ever dove 2 feet in, blood, sweat, and tears, poured 100% of myself into it,
Mhm.
if I was wrong, it was a learning moment. And if I was
Yeah.
right, it was awesome.
Yeah, because when you give it all and you fail, you're like, okay, I tried my best. It's whatever,
Yeah,
right? And you're comfortable in that moment with wrestling with failure instead of like, oh, I half-assed it, like, and you're cocky and confident outside, but inside everybody knows, like, okay, I should have, right? I should have tried better. I should have done better,
oh,
and
100%.
right, and it's like humans have this tribalism, right, where they have to justify their failures rather than success. Right? People don't justify success. They're like, yeah, I accomplished what I wanted to do, and that's it, right? But they try to justify failure so much, like, this went wrong, that went wrong, because it's seen as something negative, and as we are tribals, right? We have that tribalism in the mind, and I think somewhere humans feel like we are being devalued within the certain tribe.
It's a very fascinating mindset when you look at it in that perspective because we can put it on two bases. The one that you kind of discussed there, where you have to come up with a reason why it didn't work and you have to justify that and you have to come up with every excuse under the sun.
Hmm.
That's a self issue. That's self
Yep.
confidence. That's a fear of failure. That's a fear of what other people are going to think.
Mhm.
That is 100% you.
Yep.
If you can come at something like a failure and accept it and acknowledge that you failed and look at it in a bit of a different perspective without having to justify it,
Mhm.
even when someone else wants you to justify it, because
Yeah.
that's going to be the flip side. Someone else is going to come to you and say, why didn't that work? Why did you fail? How did you, like, they're going to want an answer.
Yeah.
If you have the confidence and the ability to say, stuff happened. It didn't work.
Yeah.
We'll try again. Or we can do this better. Or we can try this next. It's all about being able to shift your mindset. Because it is true, the majority of people in our community-driven, tribal mindseted, eco-driven people that we are from a human nature want to show up as our best and want to not feel like we did bad. We want to feel and have a reason when something goes wrong. But it's completely 100% a mindset. You must grow yourself out of that mindset and be able to defeat that feelings inside of unworthy, not good enough, you screwed up, all those things, and flip that to say, it didn't work, we're going to learn from it, we'll try this next. If you want me to justify it, sure, I'll give you why it didn't work. I'm going to be very clear and blunt, and I think we go right back to confidence. You can be stuck in fear, or you can be confident.
Got it. And so, Bryan, if people want to check out your book and the podcast, where can they do that?
My book's now available on Amazon, Amazon.com or Amazon.ca under Get Selfish, Filling Your Bucket First. My author page will be there under Bryan White as well. That or jump over to our Facebook, our Instagram, our LinkMe, our LinkedIn. Basically, any social media platform that you can find out there, we're pretty much on it at The Return Project.
Got it. And any final words or anything that you want to say to, kind of wrap it nicely?
I want everybody to take a look at themselves in the mirror. Whether you go home tonight or you're waking up first thing this morning, honestly, look in the mirror and ask yourself, who am I? What am I? Look in that mirror and really see who's looking back.
Got it. And thank you so much, Bryan, for being here. And I know that my audience can take away a lot from the conversation. And thank you so much once again for making your time and being here. And to my audience, guys, this is the end of the episode. Thank you so much for being here and listening to us, right? And hopefully you took some value from it. And all of the Bryan's links will be in the description, so go check him out. And if you want, he's very responsive on social media. I can testify to that. So you can just talk to him if you want to. And yeah, that's all. And until the next episode, take care. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.